The internet is such a sick place. It's a dope place for you as a creative, especially to create something that you love and start to build it into something that you really want to do. That's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about 5 brands from 5 people that have started sort of in the social media content creation influencer space and grew themselves out to selling the products that they love to sell, selling beautiful things and growing outside of their core following to a larger market. First up is Groundcover. So Groundcover was started by Avery Ginsberg, who goes by Geared Toward Gear on YouTube, hasn't really been in the uploading space over the past few years, more so focused on this brand. This brand is really heavily centered around sustainability, using dead stock fabrics, using recycled fabrics, using natural dyes, cactus leathers, different natural materials, and staying away from, polyester and that type of stuff, and trying to create a circular brand as much as they can, driving that sustainability story throughout every product and everything that they offer. So this brand started with footwear. It's probably a pretty well-known piece, this pineapple leather boot. Super dope boot, and I would have loved to own a pair. It's simple, but with this super lovely textured leather, which is actually Pinatex pineapple leather. And they've expanded into other shoe styles, a similar boot, I believe like a wallaby in cactus leather, which is another leather made from natural materials. They also provide various jewelry and accessories, ranging from their very well-known Suno bag in a few different colorways and fabric materials, as well as jewelry, shades, and a couple different styles of wallets in that same cactus leather. In terms of the clothing, they offer a few pieces ranging from a pair of denim, which is super nice, as well as a raglan hoodie and a couple of different sweater variations. And all of their clothing is aimed at being very androgynous. There's no male and female fit. Everything is sort of cut to either fit male or female and fall within the same sizing spectrum. They also go further into offering a kitchen sink dye guide, which allows you for, I believe, $5 to purchase this kitchen sink dye guide, understand some different natural dyes that can be used to dye your clothes, and dye your own clothes at home. Overall dope brand. If you haven't heard of them or seen them, check them out in the link in the description below. Let me know what you think. Next is Jakob Hetzer. This is one of my favorite brands. I mean, Jakob Hetzer has always had this sort of mystique around himself. He built a following throughout the early 2010s, I would say, on Instagram, has done some creative consulting for brands and still does some creative consulting for brands to this day. His brand honestly toes the line of sort of clothing and art, offering pieces that are very structured, artistic, expensive, but using high-end materials. In a way, they're all sort of inspired by Hetzer's daily uniform, the types of things that he wears and keeps on him at all times. This is a brand that aims at telling a narrative through the collections that are dropped. In whatever sense, some are a little bit more out there and some are a little bit more straightforward through the detailing, the type of textures and materials that are chosen. But Hetzer is an interesting creative, he's an interesting thinker, and that really shows through in the items that he offers. If you haven't heard of Jakob Hetzer, I highly advise you go check out their website. And if you have $700 to blow on one thing, cop something for yourself. Me, I'm just keep looking at it as an inspiration and appreciating it from afar. Next is Marcel Everette, which is a brand that is similar to Hetzer in a lot of ways, in the feeling and the materials that are used. And I believe that Marcel Everette is actually a brand that Hetzer helped out with creative consulting, because I heard of Everette's brand through, or Marcel Everette, the brand, through Hetzer's social media. So similar to Jakob Hetzer, his approach is very artistic as well. The through line, in his very own words, is that Marcel Everette is a study on the juxtaposition of humanity and machine. I'm not going to dive too deep, but it's an interesting perspective to take and try and weave through all these different collections and items that you're dropping. This takes its form in a very industrial feel, which is present through all the accessories and the clothing that Everette drops. A lot of silver accents, a very sort of worn-in look, and hefty materials such as denim and leather are used in a lot of the items that are dropped through this brand. Price points, again, here, definitely not entry level, which is why I don't own anything from them, but there are a few pieces that I really love from this brand. Some of them being the bison leather box nail belt, super dope, hefty pebble leather with a signature box nail buckle on it, which is a theme throughout a lot of the items that drop through this brand. And I also love this back clip denim jacket, which is a super clean silhouette with the industrial feel with the clip in the back that's adjustable. This is one that I would definitely buy if I had that type of money sitting around. But I do not have that type of money sitting around. So let's move on to the next brand, Unsound Rags. Unsound Rags started as a vintage shop or showroom that was focused on the unique elements of vintage clothing. It was started by Fernando Rangel, a content creator who has, again, since sort of taken a step back from content to focus more on the brand. So you can see a through line here. These content creators start out by creating content, building a following, and then they use that following to create something that they love and build a brand, something further than just the videos or whatever it is that they're putting out on the internet. Anyways, Unsound sources vintage clothes and resells them for quite a hefty price tag. Honestly, I feel like they caught the wave of vintage pretty well, like at a pretty good time, especially with things like the Carhartt double knees becoming very popular, Carhartt Detroit jackets, workwear items that are very beat in, also band tees as well, just these types of things that are sourced and are vintage from 90s, 80s, 70s, early 2000s, whatever it may be, and carry a hefty price tag with them as they're resold to the secondhand market. Since then, they've actually expanded into developing some of their own original garments, the most notable being their denim jeans, which include a hefty patch on the back with their sort of signature cracking, and then a asymmetrical seam or a seam down one of the legs, which has also become sort of a signature in these types of garments that they're selling. Again, I do want to stress, price points, they're up there. They're up there. So, but check them out if you haven't, down below. Last but certainly not least, I don't know if this is necessarily an influencer or a creator brand, so to say, but there's certainly a brand that has used the internet and social media to catapult them into the limelight in the places that they are now, and that is Reese Cooper. Reese Cooper, I would say, is certainly a storyteller first and a fashion designer second. You can see that through every collection that he releases, stories woven through in cool ways, either through sort of detailing on the garments or just more straightforward through graphics on tees or sweatshirts. And this is a brand, unlike sort of all the others that we've discussed, that has taken a more traditional route, I think you could say. Reese has chose to go the route of Paris Fashion Week, autumn, winter, spring, summer collections, selling in retailers such as Selfridges and Airsense. It's not to say that either route is better than the other, but just an interesting thing to note about this brand that separates them from some other sort of influencer or creative brands. In their own words, each season reflects a chapter in the brand's journey, and they also state that the brand's core inspirations revolve around vintage Americana fused with the great outdoors. You can certainly see this in a lot of the pieces that they offer, this sort of inspiration from hiking gear and clothing that's built to be worn outdoors, especially in the footwear that they provide. I mean, it's pretty much all hiking boots. They even did a collaboration with Morel and dropped a few different shoe styles. The garments all feel the same way as well. Street inspired, elevated through fabric choice and clean tailoring. Graphic tees depicting different elements of from nature. Outerwear styles decked with pockets and clips and hefty outerwear sort of fabrics. And simple silhouettes that we've seen before, but elevated and taken to be shown through Reese's lens. Some of my favorite pieces are this raw denim trucker jacket in indigo, as well as the matching pants, seemingly Reese's take on the Canadian tuxedo. I also love this knit plaid wool trucker's jacket with a very hefty and aggressive plaid fabric, I would say, which is infused with natural colors. They made pants in this style as well, but I'm honestly not the biggest fan of them. I just feel like this is more of a fabric for to keep up top. And I also love this newly released curved leather work jacket in black leather. So that's the video. I'd love to know if you have heard of any of these brands, if you're a fan of any of these brands, if you actually own pieces from any of these brands. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. I'm genuinely curious. That's it for now. If y'all enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Really appreciate it. And I'll see y'all again soon. Peace.